Hi, and welcome to this edition of Wellness Watch. Patty Friedman, who hasn't changed her name at all, and mine too, I'm Judy. But today we have a guest just to deal with one of the biggest parts of wellness that we have talked about.
Absolutely.
And I think when people hear wellness, they think of fitness and nutrition, and others, but nutrition certainly. And we have a bit of an expert here today who's going to help us with that, because she has some certification in fitness nutrition, which is exactly what we wanted to deal with.
Cool.
This is Catherine McPherson.
Hi.
She has a million titles at the Upper Valley Aquatic Center, trainer, class, coaching, wellness, the whole, but your title is Wellness Director now, isn't it?
Wellness Director.
Yeah, and that's new.
It started in the early summer of this
okay.
year.
Not that new. Okay.
No.
This is my first mistake today. Anyway, we welcome you because it's
Thank
something,
you.
and we talked, and we all know that there are a million myths and legends and rights and wrongs about what to do as far as eating when exercising or eating in general. But you had a lot of bullet points of yours
Yeah.
and a lot of questions that people ask you.
Yeah, so as I had mentioned to Catherine, and having talked a lot about nutrition, questions that often come up is, what should I eat before I exercise? What do I eat after? How much should I have? What shouldn't I have? When am I going to burn calories? How do I burn calories? So there's just a lot of interest in making sure people are doing the
Really,
right
there
thing
is.
It
when they're
matters.
eating, and
Yeah.
what should I drink? You know, there's so much about sports drinks, and I personally always go back to water, as we see sitting in front of us with, lemon and stuff. But people really have an interest in learning more about that whole piece of the fitness industry, and not
Yeah.
only for fitness, but
No, in general.
in general. And we figured we'd start with this part and have you join us. So.
Great. Thank you guys both for having me. I really appreciate
we're
it.
thrilled.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are these some of the questions you get regularly? from
I do
your
every
clients?
day. And like Patty, I do small group training as well with group fitness. And then every single day I get asked all kinds of questions, whether they're myths or not. And a lot of the time, the general pop knows what they're eating. They know that they're eating healthy, but they don't know how much to be eating or if they're overdoing it.
Yeah.
Primarily, the bullet points you presented are spot on. I hear those words right from my clients. And there are so many myths that actually do a lot more harm. So I think it's mostly about conquering the myths and knowing what your body specifically needs. So some of the myths may be applicable or not. And I think what we could do is kind of target each question directly. I'd love to start with the sport drinks too,
Yeah,
if
that's
that
a
makes
good one.
sense.
Yeah.
So the sport drinks I get all the time. Dehydration is everything. Replenishing of electrolytes and other major fuel resources is vital. And so we have to be in tune with that. And sometimes we don't get everything out of water, especially if you don't come to your workout hydrated. First and foremost, my biggest tip I give clients about hydration is to take your body weight, divide it in two, and that is the amount of ounces per day minimum of what you should be drinking for water. And that's without physical activity. So on average, most people need about 75 to up to 120 ounces a day of water. So not only are you going to be taking 1,000 bathroom breaks, you have to get used
People
to
are
that.
calculating that right now. They're thinking,
say,
really?
No
I
way.
can't do
Yeah,
that
there's-
before
how can I do
12.
that? Yeah. I can hear
But
it now.
the quality of water hydration comes down to everything. It's the value of life and how we feel, how we sleep, our tiredness, our readiness to train. It really does come down to water. So let's just say a client came in and they're well hydrated. They may not need a heavy duty sports drink right away, and that's totally fine and good. You also have to consider, what are they doing for training? Are they dripping wet? Is their shirt soaking wet after their workout? Probably need something. As most of the Upper Valley may know by now, I'm expecting, so dehydration was a big one. Cramping was a big one for me. So the biggest thing was to do with coconut water. And at first, before I was pregnant, I thought coconut water was not tasteful. But now I find it to be one of the most delicious fluids I can have.
It's going to be a craving soon.
Yeah,
It's going
I'm
to become a
thinking so.
craving. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so coconut water is an excellent source of natural sugar replenisher. You're not going to have high fructose corn syrup, which is what a lot of the
Oh,
colorful
boy.
sport drinks have. So let's think about the quality of the sport drink. Does it have high fructose corn syrup? Does it have food coloring? Is that necessary for hydration? Not really. So
We should be doing that on everything we put in our body.
course,
anyways.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the labels really are horrific if you don't stop and analyze
Read the
them
label.
properly.
Yeah.
Read the label.
read the label.
Absolutely.
So sports drinks can be given almost immediately after your performance, sometimes during as well, if you're feeling like you need something. If you feel like you're thirsty, you're dehydrated. And that's something that most of us know. So right off the bat, look for more of a natural hydrator. And water, like you said, is always your go-to. That's spot on. It is go-to.
Yep.
So get the water in, and if you need a boost, look at the more natural resources. Electrolytes is found natural in a lot of everyday ingredients right in your cabinet. Look it up. You might find the ingredients are, I think it comes down to 3 different things, and it's super simple.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
And people do it during and after, or maybe before if you're thinking you're not hydrated.
Specifically, it should be, depending on what you're doing, during and then after, immediately after.
It's a process. It really is. I mean, not only people need to know what they're doing for a routine. I mean, really, bottom line is, like you said, Catherine, is what did somebody have before? How much are they expending in energy,
Yes.
and what are they burning? And then at the end, now you think about, well, what do I need to
Yeah.
replace what I
Yeah.
burned? And so, but it's really important, I think, that people think about drinking all the time.
I
Have
think-
water bottle, have something
Yeah, and most people are pretty
around.
attached to a water bottle these days. They
Yeah,
really-
yeah.
Get a fun water bottle.
Yeah.
Get a really fun water bottle.
Yeah.
You can find them anywhere.
Those insulated ones, I don't know, I have an
Yeah.
insulated
Yeah.
one. I
Yeah.
got one this summer, and I was amazed at how they stay
Yeah.
so cold, even in an 80-degree
Right.
day in a
And it
car.
feels so
They're
much
worth
better.
And
Yep.
it's more refreshing when
Yeah.
water's colder. I mean,
True.
we're not as apt to
Yep.
go for that water.
we mentioned
We were
that
saying
prior,
earlier that
yeah.
it's hard, it's so much harder in the winter or the colder weather to
drink-
get in all our
drink
ounces.
water.
Summer, no problem, I exceed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's harder, you have to really make it a project.
It's, yeah.
Almost a little check off that you've got that last one done. It's just harder, but
Yep.
it does feel better. I know how I feel
You
when
will
I'm
feel
there.
better.
It's good for
I-
your skin,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
only,
Yeah,
I mean, thinking about that.
it's good for your soul.
It's good for
For our
everything.
soul.
Yep.
So
Oh, yeah.
cheers.
Cheers.
So everybody drink
There you
water.
go.
There we go.
There's our
Cheers.
excuse to
Cheers.
grab
I'm already halfway done with mine.
Well done, Patty.
Practice what we preach, so everybody get your
Good.
drink of
Yeah.
water, right?
So you also had talked about food, when, where, what?
Yep.
Before, how much time before, how much time after, and
My-
quantity.
It's not my favorite scenario, but it's the one I see the most. It's, I don't feel good during my workout. How come? I didn't eat breakfast. Why? Well, it doesn't make me feel good during my workout. I get that all the time. If you have that same experience, go for a banana. It's got a lot of what you need for your workout. And guess what? You can eat it on the way to your workout.
There's no excuse.
It's no
Affordability
excuse.
of a banana makes it one of the A1 top foods of all kind.
And it's going to even help with your hydration. So I think that's a question that's so important is what, when, and it has to do with how you feel individually. Does a lot of fiber affect your stomach? Can you eat a lot of protein and go to a workout and feel okay? So it's kind of an experimental game. The biggest go-to is something that's not extremely high in calorie and extremely overdoing it, but something that's comfortable for the stomach, and it has a protein-based source.
I think protein is key.
It is key, especially before, so you can walk into your workout
Yeah.
with an elevated
I think
insulin
people forget that,
resistance.
I mean, I'm a big believer in protein 3 times a day at least.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think in the mornings, cereal doesn't do it. It's fine to have cereal, but if you throw in
Yeah.
a yogurt or something,
It's the satiety factor, and a lot of it has to do too with giving you the fuel that you're going to be burning right away. And so I tend to say 30 minutes before your workout. Try not to go too close or too far away.
Right.
And that's okay if you do. If you have a tendency to get dizzy during a workout, you should probably pack a banana. You should pack something light to nibble if that's the case.
Yep.
It's happened to me a few times working out lately with my with expecting a baby, but that's just the name of the game, and it's to prepare yourself for fuel.
yeah.
Afterward, the biggest thing is the fuel is within the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
So that can actually really make or break your workout. You can make your workout almost not as quality as it could have been. So the rule of thumb is up to 3 hours, specifically 1 to 3. And in that time frame, they really want you to get the carbohydrates back in to refuel that source. And so we're looking at, obviously the go-to happy stuff is your fruits and vegetable based. But if you had a solid workout, you can look at the oatmeal and you can look at more of the starchier carbohydrates, and that's okay. Unfortunately, we can't just say, I'm going to eat this bagel so I can burn this later tonight. It doesn't work that way. If only it did.
Yeah, right.
But the truth is you can plan it so it's not going to be stored immediately as readily for fat. So the timing on that, again, is 1 to 3 hours after your workout, and you must get that in. And get in the most carbohydrates that you can in a good manner. That's not so simple.
Even though, you think a salad for lunch would be great, but a sandwich might also be great.
Correct.
After
Yep.
working out.
I agree.
Or some component of that.
So a lot of people, Catherine, I see, and I know the public is probably thinking about this, what about all these, energy bars, granola bars, energy bars?
The aisles now are just
Oh, yeah.
So
totally that.
And those are good, quick go-tos, but there's a lot of them out there
Yeah.
that people really need to be more.
It's more like
That's a
maybe
great
almost like more of a candy
question.
bar
Yeah.
to them than a
It
healthy
tastes
thing.
good,
Yeah.
so why does it taste good?
Yeah.
Let's think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why does our senses say, this reminds me of my Snickers bar? So that might mean that there's a lot of sugar, there might be a lot of corn syrup. So I don't think and I think if you are halfway on the point where you know your nutrition pretty well, the corn syrup's not gonna be a fuel provider. No granola bar, sports bar is really created equal. I have had a hard time really finding the go-to one. The best one is a Laura bar that I have found. It's LARA bars, and they're usually 3 to 5 ingredients. You don't see any.
See, that's another thing. The fewer ingredients, the
Yep.
better,
Right.
whatever it is.
You're looking at dates, nuts, cashews.
Yeah.
So it's a really big source of fat and protein, and instead of the simple carbohydrates that you're just gonna burn right through, and it's not going to give you the energy. Now, yes, I would say if you picked out a very happy sports bar that gave you lots of protein, the protein sources were more on the natural end, they weren't so artificial, it's probably going to be more beneficial than you think. It might keep your glucose levels elevated and happy, and that's really what we want to see. We don't want to have a spike up and down. But you do have to understand that a lot of these do contribute to excess body fat. So if we're over abusing our caloric intake daily and we have something like this, our body's going to store it.
And I think people also eat too many of them just because they find the ones
Yeah.
that taste the best.
Yeah.
And they're
they think
small.
It
They
looks
don't,
small,
and
it
they don't
looks
think they're
healthy.
eating a lot.
Right.
They're totally loaded.
So they pack their
Yeah.
glove compartment with all
Yeah.
these little
Yeah.
bars, and they
Yeah.
nibble on them far more than what they actually need to.
Yeah.
probably.
I think a lot of today's discussion is going to come back around to reading the
I was
ingredients.
just going to say, it's about
Yeah.
educating
Yep.
and
Yeah.
being aware. You've got to, each of us has to take ownership for why and what
Exactly.
we're doing.
Yep.
And so we have to educate ourselves or go to someone that can help
Get some
educate
information.
Yes,
you to
exactly.
know exactly what is going to be the right thing, because what you think might be the right thing
Right.
really could be.
It's fascinating.
That's true.
I get a lot of people too who read sports drinks and they read these sport bars and they look right at the sugar. They don't necessarily look at the ingredients. They'll go right to the percentages instead of the actual what is what. And so that is one of the biggest tips too with reading the label is you have to look at the ingredients. Whatever is first on the list is the highest amount of content. And then it lessens as it goes into the package. And so you have to see, okay, if there's 12 grams of sugar per serving, we know 12 grams of sugar is 1 tablespoon of sugar, and that's a lot to the body right away. And we know that when we look at the label. But where is the sugar coming from? So is it natural fruit sugar? Can it benefit me after my workout?
Yeah.
It probably could. And so just make sure it's not from the straight,
The fructose.
more so terms of, the high fructose corn syrup.
The other, I'm sorry. Judy,
No,
but
please.
The thing that you said is, when people look at a serving of 12 grams, well, often there's more than just one serving in
Yeah.
a package.
Yes.
And that's the other people don't realize is that it could be addressing 2 to 4, 5 servings
Well,
in
how
this
about you're at the
container.
co-op and
Yeah.
and you go for a ride and you got your nut bag. I'm famous for going in the car and putting my nuts here and I'm going through it. And so serving sizes are everything. And so especially with packages, they're usually not always one serving.
Right.
But like
So-
the 100-calorie packets are a godsend, I think, over the years. that
Yeah,
If you
I
could
do like
Take
those.
those in the car.
I think they really accommodate the serving sizes. I have found some of the 100 calories though to be a little bit on the sugary,
Yep.
simple
Oh, it
carbohydrate.
depends on- yeah.
Exactly, but if you're in the shopping aisle reading the ingredients, taking up the aisle lane and kind of being a nuisance, people going around you, that's okay.
It's okay, you're
Yeah,
not- it's your right.
totally
you're getting the
okay.
right 100 calorie pack.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think getting them in bulk obviously is the best thing.
Of course.
I mean, that's the cleanest it's gonna get.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, and I've done it over the years a little compulsively, is put them in baggies according to
Yeah.
each portion, so that I'm
Perfect.
not going
Yeah.
a little nutty.
I love that. And I actually recommend buying, you can find these as easy as at the dollar store. You can buy the measuring cups, they're plastic ones, and you can actually throw them into your nut bag. So a lot of people don't realize 1/4 cup is a standard serving size for trail mix. Throw the 1 cupper in there so you're not like, on the go and you're shoving it in your mouth.
Then it's endless.
700 calories later. So
Been there, all of us.
throw that in your pack, and I'll tell you, it's a Sunday ritual for me. It'll look horrible, and there's 3 loads of dishes to be done, but I have all my baggies made serving sizes, so I can go grab it. It's ready to go, and
Yeah.
it's
It's just, you're doing the right thing that way. You're
Yeah.
in a hurry and you're not gonna make the quick, wrong mistake. You're gonna
Yeah.
make the quick thing that's already prepared.
set yourself up
And I
for
think that's
success.
good with any prepping you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Give it
People
a time.
need to take the time to
It's worth it.
help.
I know a
Oh,
lot of
it's so
people now
worth
who
it.
do
Yeah.
So
Sunday
worth it.
prepping for the week.
It could be
and-
Wednesday if you're off. It could be
Yeah, it
Friday
doesn't
night.
have to
I
be
don't know.
Sunday.
The biggest thing for me, with our busy lifestyle, I'm in grad school, we have a lot going on. The biggest thing is take the 2 hours to set yourself up for the rest of the week.
Right.
Right.
End of story. Make a shopping list.
Otherwise, that
You owe it to yourself.
spontaneous
Correct.
grabbing is gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we
yeah.
all
And
know
2 hours is not a lot of time
It
in the
really
scheme of
isn't.
thing. And
Yeah.
we all say that I don't have the time to do it, but it's about making the time and finding the time and putting it into your schedule and routine.
If it matters enough, you find it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
during the week, you're thinking, wow, am I glad this was all ready for me?
Yeah.
It can be salads, it can be
Yep.
lunches, it can be anything like you might do for kids, just,
A lot of things last for 5 days in the fridge.
yeah.
And so I will pre-make salads. I'll pre-make sandwiches up to 2-3 days.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
I make salads for the week for my
Yeah.
husband and myself, and just don't put any dressing or
Yep.
say about the tomatoes, but anyway, I like having stuff that's kind of ready to go, so I don't have
Absolutely.
to pick the wrong stuff.
Setting yourself up for success. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't do more help for yourself.
What else on your little list that, it was a very comprehensive, I think we've done a lot of it in terms of
Mm-hmm.
when and what to eat and how far to wait before eating after, but,
And I think we did. We talked about the sports drinks
Yeah.
before, after, water versus anything else. But the other, we talked about amounts and quantities. But I guess, Catherine, what would be some of the key tips that you might have for somebody who's starting to get into workout and they're starting to make those gradual changes for themselves, and they know that they need to change what they're taking in for food, but what are just some simple tips? Because we talked about, preparing food, that makes sense, and it's simple and it's go-to and everything, but what are some other little tips that you might have for somebody that's trying to change their eating habits?
So right off the top of my mind, when you say what are the starter tips, I think of macronutrients. So our body needs fats, proteins, carbs. And some of the biggest myths from the very first question is I'm on a fat-free diet.
Yeah.
And those crush people. It crushes their stamina and it crushes their goals. So for someone starting off, to go to the macronutrients, think about what are the good fats, educate yourself on the right proteins and the right carbohydrates. Those are the main sources that you need to be eating at every meal or throughout the day as best as you can. Yeah. And so the best thing to set someone up is for them to know where the resources are, what are the good habits, and to really address that as they go, because their body is changing with the new physiologic change. Their body's going to be needing more resources. It's a super broad question because a lot of us need help. And I think the biggest tip above all is to really use your resources. It may not necessarily be to jump online and to read what's the best diet. It might be to ask a sports professional,
Right.
you know, right down the street. We have lots in the community that would be able to answer fast questions.
Yeah.
Get the advice directly from the source.
Yeah, and you know, using the word diet, I always say to people and clients when somebody says, you know, my diet or I'm going on a diet, I say, okay, so the first 3 letters of the word diet is die. You diet.
Which means deprivation and misery.
That it shouldn't, if we put our mindset into that I'm going on a diet, you're setting up yourself up for failure right from the get-go.
hate it.
And that's why I said eating habits, it's about changing what you do, it's changing your routine, it's changing your habits to make it be, food should be enjoyable for people. And we should be able to have what we want in, you know, certain quantities. I always tell people, don't feel like you can't have something, just know that you've got to balance stuff out. And the
little
more
bit.
they get educated
it's
with it,
true.
the better
I
they
couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah.
And they learn that they can have what they thought of as a bad thing. I went to a nutritionist once years ago who said she wanted me to have a piece of dark chocolate after every lunch.
Oh.
And I thought,
Can
oh,
I
love this
can I have
woman.
her name?
I love this woman. I mean, she said, really, think of it as a dessert.
Yeah.
So it
Right.
mentally, it's the end of your meal. You won't be reaching for food right away
Sure.
after that. Same with dinner. I thought, wow, no wonder people come to her. But it mattered. It felt
she's
good because I
good,
didn't
yeah.
feel deprived.
Right. Deprivation is the worst thing you can ever do.
Yep.
Ever do. And a lot of these fast weight loss diets or even fitness, physical programs where they want to get you in and they're going to put you on a low calorie diet. Sure, you're going to lose a few excess pounds, but you're going to put it back on.
And then potentially then some.
And then some.
And then,
I mean,
and then
I see it all the
you
time.
go even
right.
higher than you were
Right.
before, and ultimately you get to that weight that is almost like the point of no return.
Correct.
Oh, I can't do it now, I'm too heavy. I know a lot of people like that.
We see that a lot. One of the biggest things we have to think about is our basal metabolic rate. So that's the amount of calories per day we need just to breathe, digest our food, think, to go to the bathroom from all the water we're drinking. It's the energy we burn for life, and that has not anything to do with the calories we burn for fitness. So that's another number. So physiologically, you know, I see a lot of people who are on these low 1,200 calorie diets, but their BMR is 1,600. So they're deficit going into it.
Right.
So stamina, I think about their mood. Are they happy? Are they tired?
Right.
Did they, you know, bark at their spouse because they're tired and their glucose levels are low? A lot could be happening, and that's not practical.
And if you're going to start a fairly regular and maybe intense
Yep.
workout routine, you need more calories.
Yep.
A good trainer or whoever's in charge of your life at that moment would say you're not eating enough. And that's almost music to your ears because
Yeah,
you
right.
want permission to eat a little more.
Yeah.
And you didn't realize you could and should.
There's a lot of ways to understand how many calories you need per day, and it comes down to 3 fundamentals. Your body type. There's 3 body types in this world. So we got your body type, your physical activity. You know, how many times per week are you working out? And the third is, what are your goals? Weight loss, maintenance,
Right.
or weight gain? All right, so from there, it's a flow chart. You can literally figure out specifically what are my macronutrient percentages. And I promise you, you're not gonna see a 1,200 calorie diet.
Right.
You're gonna see double that.
Yeah.
I think I told you once that I have a PCP who, when he used to hear me saying, oh, I really would like to lose some weight, I'm not sure I like where I am, he said, I see that you're fit, and that matters more to me than almost anything you can tell me about what you're doing. You're fit, you're active, maybe your body is settling in a place where it's gonna stay there, and it's gonna win.
Yeah,
You know, and that setting point is definitely a real thing.
yeah.
But the fitness level, I think, and he said, I get money to worry about your weight, don't you? and it just made me feel better, because he
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
concerned.
Another common thing that people get into is when they start a fitness program and they actually can gain weight.
Yep.
And they think, oh, I've changed all my routines, but I'm gaining weight, so phew, I'm done.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's trying to, again, it's helping people understand and educate them of
Yeah.
ways that they
Also,
might be able to
yeah.
modify.
Whoa,
and change.
don't run away yet.
Yeah, it's like,
I had recently a client where we're gaining weight from this system that we're on. And, through a Tanita reading where you jump on the scale and it prints out literally every aching, breaking number throughout your whole body, from bone density, fat percentage, fat in pounds, etc. We got to see he gained 6 pounds of straight muscle. He lost 3% body fat.
This is the other
and his
myth,
bone
yeah.
density went up.
Exactly, and that's what people don't realize. It's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
see a
if-
lot
if-
of women start, for an example, at 160, and then a year later they're still 160. But a side-by-side profile is that they're
Completely
longer
different.
and
They're
leaner.
eating better, but their muscle, the
They
whole
look
composition
phenomenal.
changes, and that's
Yeah.
a good thing.
Fat is a lot. The size of a 1 pound of fat is not comparable to a size of pound of muscle.
No.
And so we have to keep that in mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And not be so hard on
I work
yourself.
really hard to make clients understand it's not the number on the scale.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doing these internal body compensation readings, so that we can say this is what's physiologically happening.
Right.
And I also do blood work where we're doing the lipid profile for total cholesterol and glucose.
And those are
It
good numbers.
changes. These
Yeah.
are your arteries. This is your heart health. So your heart health is changing when you're eating better and exercising better.
Because they don't see the big picture without some more information
It's
like
not
that.
the outside.
Right.
It's
And
from the
I-
inside.
A lot of
yeah.
people I know have been told, and are doing, not just don't own scales anymore. You'll know
Yeah.
if things are changing. It may
Your
be
pant
inches,
size
it
is
may
a
be-
great. Your clothing is an awesome indicator.
Yeah.
So they say, relatively speaking, it's 12 pounds per size, plus minus per if you go under and over. And so if things are getting snugger, yeah, that means that we're getting our waist is getting wider. And so keep that as a natural way of measuring. I don't necessarily tell people not to own scales.
Right.
My go-to with weight loss clients is to do bi-weekly weigh-ins or even monthly weigh-ins.
Yeah.
I don't
Not
want them
every day.
obsessing about it.
Yeah.
Every day is not an
I mean, you
indicator.
could weigh 5 different things if you weigh
Yeah.
yourself 5 different times every day, and it's going to screw you
Oh,
up
yeah.
big time,
Yeah.
and you're going to not bother doing
Consistency is
anything.
key too. They say statistically you're lighter by Friday, which I actually have really seen with clients.
Interesting.
So I would recommend toward the end of the week, early morning, and kind of make that consistent. Don't just jump on the
It has to be the
scale.
same time of day.
Make it the same time of day. Make it consistent for you.
Yeah.
And my scale where I work may not be the same scale where your home scale is,
Right.
and it's going to be different, but it's consistent with each other
Yes.
if you do it at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot to it, but you don't have to be overwhelmed by it. If you
Yeah.
just
Right.
focus on a couple of things, and that
Right.
could be just thinking about inches, not pounds, or just how you feel. I mean, how you feel
Feeling
gonna
is
make a
everything.
big difference.
A feeling to me at the end of the day, I know I've done my job when you say I slept good and I had one of the best workouts I've ever had.
Yeah.
And then I had the energy to, I vacuumed my house and went to
Yeah.
my son's game.
Exercise should energize.
Yeah.
Why I've always liked doing it early in the morning, just because it
You have the
really
rest of the day.
keeps me going. I can't possibly imagine myself doing evening exercise.
I will say too, if you're famished, if you're fatigued, it's not that you're doing something wrong. It's just something in your routine needs to be altered. Whether it's more of a specific macronutrient, again the fats, carbs, proteins, or maybe it's the hydration. There's just something that needs to be altered.
Tweak here and
Tweak
there.
it. Yeah.
Like diets need to be, diets,
The diet.
regimens, patterns, habits.
Habits.
Yeah.
Need to be changed too. If you're in a rut eating the same thing all the time and
Yep.
nothing's happening, a little tweak of some kind can make all the difference, and your
Yeah.
body will say, oops. I
Social
have to be-"
support is big. That brings me to that too. Your home life, your work life, how your partners are with you, your children's diets, everything impacts each other. And so the quality of balance can be altered there
Sure.
too.
Sure.
And so that is one huge part to nutrition and wellness, is making sure that your social support is actually on par as well.
And like everything else in our lives, stress can make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
change
huge.
everything
Huge.
you're doing.
Yeah.
We all know when we're stressed about something, and it does change our sleep. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people that say I'm a stress eater.
Mhm.
And they say that's just who I am
Yeah.
and what I've got.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and so there are ways to eliminate stress from our lives, and we should not use our bodies as a tool to make
yeah,
ourselves
because
feel
emotional
better.
eating
Yeah,
can be deadly.
it can be.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's hard to
Doesn't
stop.
make you feel good.
It,
And
very
that's the
briefly-
vicious, it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And
Truly.
trying to help people to get off from that vicious cycle
Yeah.
is what we need to really
Yeah.
make sure that
Yeah.
we help people understand, is that it's a domino effect. Once
is.
you start And then getting
true.
people to get back on the train, if you will, or
It can be
get
harder.
it's so
each-
much
I think
harder
it's
to get
harder
them
each
started
time.
again.
It
I
is
think that
harder.
unless, you know, we all have tried it in different ways, but we've just gotten a whole lot smarter.
Have we?
Oh,
Hopefully
I'm
they have
speaking
too.
for myself. You are the people, I hope, because we do this to educate, we do this for enjoyment, we do this to give you ideas, and maybe if you have any ideas, you'll get back to us, tell us what you'd like done differently or more of, or get her back, or, you know, this is a wealth of knowledge, and it's one of the biggest parts of what you do now in your practice of wellness. I've got 2 wellness coaches, and it's a sandwich. I've got to get better with these 2 in osmosis.
We're double teaming you.
We're double teaming me, I gotta do it right. But it's been really fun doing this with you, and you can tell when we say these half hours fly, they do.
They do.
But, you know, we're not averse to bringing people back. But
Great
thank you,
information,
'cause
yeah.
it's really
It's great
helpful, and I
information.
think there's so
Good.
many more people joining gyms
Yep.
and getting into the habit, but it can be for nothing if they aren't getting all the side issues covered as well
Sure.
with what they intake.
Yep.
So,
And a lot of times, wouldn't you agree, and I know we're closing down, but I'm going to build it back up, is that, sorry, we're going to keep going. This is
Forget
the
that.
hour show today, is that people often just need to be reminded.
Yep.
They just need
Yeah.
that, you know, support, like you said, that social piece of it.
Yeah.
But when they just need that simple little reminder, and so it's so important in our roles, whether it's
Yes.
together as wellness coaches or with your friends and family, is that we just help everyone educate them.
Which is why the groups, I do a lot of my exercising now, or all of it in
There's
groups.
social support.
And they really
Yeah.
support each other in
I
that.
will tell you,
When they lost control of you yesterday,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
were so silly.
They were lost completely. Oh, we had a dance party.
Oh,
It was just as much
going
fun.
on.
We were still working,
Yeah.
but somehow
A dance
a few
party.
of the little devils got in there and got it going.
it takes a village.
Yeah.
And I solely believe the Upper Valley is a phenomenal resource
is.
area where
So
we
much
really
stuff.
have a very big variety of
And we're
professionals.
very lucky.
Yes.
That we have
It's
a
a
lot.
healthy
Use your
community.
resources. We are a healthy community. We're a very diverse community, especially with different socioeconomics.
Right.
So the biggest thing is a lot of these resources are at your hands for very
Yeah.
low cost.
And if
take
if you
advantage
don't
of
know
it.
directly, someone you know will.
Right.
Will direct
Yeah.
you.
Don't be afraid to ask.
So I think the lesson here is just learn all you can,
Yeah.
do it the best you can, but have fun with it too.
Be a
Because exercise
sponge.
can be fun.
Yeah,
And where we all play, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So,
I'd agree.
thank
with
you,
that.
Catherine.
You're
We-
very
we're
welcome.
very lucky
Thank
to
you
have
for
you.
having
It
me.
was awesome.
Yeah,
Truly
It was
appreciate
great,
to have
and I
her.
think we
Yeah.
just keep hopefully educating and
Yeah.
ourselves as well. So I'm smarter and I'm happy. So, thank you all. Thank
done.
you all for watching. I hope you're there. And please keep tuned in, and we'll let you know when the shows air. But we do want ideas. If you have any topic like this one, or more of this one, or more of a new one we haven't covered yet in the wellness picture, please let us know. And our information, and we'll put Catherine's information up there as well, so that you can be in touch with any of us or all. So thanks a million, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks all.